The book of Exodus is about the Israelites coming out of, because they were in, there it is, slavery. For 400 years. Everybody say 400 years. For 400 years, the Israelites were slaves in Egypt. And God sent a deliverer named? Who said it? It was close. Come on, let's go. Let's go. God sent a deliverer named Moses to set the people free and lead them out of Egypt into the promised land and out of slavery into freedom. You guys with me still? Say yes. So now we are in the wilderness, okay? A few weeks back, you heard a message about from Pastor Luke about the Israelites crossing the Red Sea, okay? And you guys heard a message about how God did a miracle and he stopped the waters and the Israelites walked through on dry ground. You heard a message from Pastor Zach, I believe, about God leading the Israelites with the cloud and by fire and things like that. God did so many miracles in the Israelites' life, right? And now we're in this time, if you know the story of the Exodus, if you know the story of the Israelite people, now we're in this time called the wilderness phase, where the Israelites are in the wilderness. And we get to this point in the story where they're camped out at this mountain called Mount Sinai. Everybody say Sinai. Not cyanide, okay? Cyanide is poison. It's not that. Mount Sinai, okay? Say it one more time. Sinai. Yes, there you go. Good. So we're at Mount Sinai, and this is important because this is the mountain that God meets with his people. This is the mountain where the glory of God comes down, and Moses goes up on the mountain, and God begins to have a conversation with Moses. This is important because for 400 years, these people lived as slaves. For 400 years, these people were stuck in slavery. And now God is on the top of the mountain with Moses. God is on the top of the mountain with Moses, and he's talking to Moses because he's telling Moses how these people now have to live outside of slavery. Because if you're stuck in slavery for 400 years, bro, you ain't got no way, know how to live. You don't know. You just don't know how to live free. You don't. And so God meets with Moses on top of Mount. Come on, on top of Mount. On top of Mount. And he's beginning to tell Moses, this is how I want you guys to live. This is how you live in freedom. This is how you live outside of slavery. And this is where we're going to pick up the story in Exodus chapter 32. Because y'all are struggling with me tonight, everybody up on their feet. Stand up. We're reading the Bible. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Exodus chapter 32, verse 1. When I stop reading, you say that word, okay? When the people saw, okay, when the people saw, I just gave you word number 5 to see if you're in it. So when the people saw how long it was taking Moses to come back down the mountain, they gathered around Aaron. Come on, they said, make us some who can lead us. We don't know what happened to this fellow Moses who brought us here from the land of Egypt. So Aaron said, take the gold rings from your ears, from the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me. And so all the people took the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. Next slide. Then Aaron took melted it down, molded it into the shape of a. When the people saw it, they exclaimed, "O Israel, these are the who brought you out of the land of." Next slide. Aaron saw how excited the people were, so he built in front of and then he announced, tomorrow will be a festival to the Lord. The people got up early the next morning. They sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings. After this, they celebrated with feasting and drinking, and they indulged in pagan revelry. Everybody say revelry. All right, bow your heads. Let's pray. God, thank you for your word. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for speaking to us. Thank you for being alive today. And thank you for caring so much about us right now, right here in this moment, that we've come to a spot to corporately meet together and to meet with you. And so, God, we ask that as we have read your word and now we dive into your word, God, we ask that our attention would be all on you. Just like we sang in the songs over and over again, we will never stop saying you're worthy to be praised. We will remember who you are. We will remember your names. And God, we ask that right now in this moment, all distractions would go out of our mind. All distractions would go away from us so that we could focus on your word and hear from you tonight. Jesus, we love you. We praise you. It's in your mighty and holy name. Everybody said? Come on, everybody said? All right, sit down. Sit down. All right, guys, look. Tonight we're going to be talking about the gold calf. Everybody said the gold calf. Because what doesn't make sense to me is how these Israelites came out of 400 years of slavery. Can anybody in this room name me one ancestor of theirs from 400 years ago? Go ahead. It's a lie. Your mom's just like, absolutely not. You lied. What? Ezra. Ezra who? Ezra McNaughton. 400 years old. I'm going to ask your mom at the end of the night, okay? For 400 years, these people lived in slavery. For 400, that's all they knew. They knew nothing but slavery. Did you know that a goldfish, if you leave it in the wild, will grow to about this big? I've seen pictures. I should have brought one with me. But because a goldfish stays in a tank that's this big, a goldfish only grows to be this big. Why? Because that's all the goldfish knows how to do. The goldfish is in the tank. The goldfish can't go anywhere else. It's not free. It can't grow. It can't be who the goldfish is supposed to become, right? Why? Because the goldfish is contained to the tank. The Israelites were contained to their slavery. They knew nothing but slavery. All they ever thought was slavery. I'm a slave. I'm always going to be a slave. My children are going to be slaves. My grandchildren are going to be slaves. Their children are going to be slaves. All my family is going to be slaves. Why? Because all my family before me was slaves. That's all they knew was slavery. But they also knew that they had a God. They also knew that they had a God. And the Bible tells us that the Israelites cried out to their God, and God began to hear them, heard them cry out to him, and he said, I will set you free. I will send you a deliverer to bring somebody to you because you care so much to cry out to me that I will hear you. They remembered that they were in slavery, but they also remembered that they had a God, and so they cried out to their God. And what did God do? He sent Moses to deliver them from slavery. But for 400 years, all they knew was slavery. So now they're set free. Now they're living in freedom. Now they're in the wilderness. And the moment we get a few paces, a few days, a few steps into the wilderness, what's the first thing that they do? They want to go back to slavery. And it doesn't make sense to me. Because of the way that God brought them out. If somebody, man, for 400 years I was in slavery. My family was in slavery. For 400 years we were in slavery. And now all of a sudden we're free. Why would I ever forget about that God? Not only am I free, but he parted the sea and we walked through on dry ground. He fed us manna in the wilderness. He gave us water from the rock in the wilderness. God provided everything that we needed to be free in the wilderness. And the moment we get to a mountain and Moses goes up on the mountain to commune with God, to have a conversation with God, and we haven't seen Moses in a few days, and all of a sudden the Israelites are like, God has abandoned us. He's left us here. So now we have to build an idol. Now we have to create our own gods. Why did they build the idol? Why did they build the idol? This doesn't make sense to me. So as I was reading this, as I was studying this, these are 4 things that I came up with on why they built the idol. Number 1, they were impatient/bored. The people were bored. They were impatient. They got sick of waiting for Moses. And this is what's crazy to me, guys. Listen. This is what's crazy to me, right? Because the Bible tells us that this mountain was covered with a cloud so thick that it was completely dark. They couldn't see the top of the mountain. All they could see was the cloud. And the cloud was the glory of God. And so all they could see at the top of the mountain was the glory of God. But now they're standing at the bottom of the mountain completely impatient, saying, Moses has been up there for too long. He's been up there for too long. God is different now. He's not leading us in the wilderness. He's not providing for us like he did in the wilderness. Moses has been gone for too long. Now we need somebody else. We need something else. We need gods that we can actually physically see. Realize if they would have taken a step back and looked up, they would have seen the glory of God on the top of the mountain. But all they were focused on is their current, present situation, which is, man, I'm sick of waiting. You know what that sounds a lot like? You know what that sounds a lot like? Man, I had this radical encounter and this radical time at the altar at camp, and it made me feel really good, and I loved it. Or I was at the weekend, and I heard this awesome sermon, and it made me feel really good, and I loved it, and I was all in, man. I gave everything. I had this feeling, and it felt so great, and I could tell God is real. I could tell he was with me. And then I've been home now for a few weeks. I've been home now for a few months, and I just don't feel God the same, and I'm sick of waiting on him. I'm sick of waiting on him. And so now I'm going to build something that I can see, that I can feel, that I can touch, that's right in front of me because I can't see God. And we begin to build golden calves in our lives. We begin to build golden calves in our lives, and we begin to go to a thing, something that to give us what only God is supposed to offer us. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. When you're sick and tired of school, right? When you're sick and tired of school and you come home at the end of the day, what's the first thing you do? Sleep. Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. For us old people, Facebook. For we really old, MySpace. What's the first thing we do? To get some peace. Bruh, man, I had a long day at work. I'm tired. I want to come home. I want to relax, y'all. I want to watch some TV. I need some peace in my life. I'm just, you don't get it, Pastor August. I had a long day at school. I'm tired. I need some peace. I need to relax. I need to relax. And so we open up our phones, and we begin to scroll. And we begin to scroll. Or we turn on Netflix, and we just begin to just sit there and veg out and binge watch. When in all reality, the song we sang and the truth that we already sang about tonight is this: our God is the Prince of Peace. Y'all want real peace that lasts forever? Peace that comes in moments when we never expected it? Peace that will last a lifetime? Peace that is true peace? We should go to God. Do you guys see what I'm saying? You with me tonight? Say yes. But instead, we build golden calves in our lives. And we say, I need you to give me what I'm not getting from God because I'm sick of waiting and I'm impatient. And it doesn't feel like it did at youth. It doesn't feel like it does when the worship team's going. It doesn't feel like it does when I'm at camp. It doesn't feel like it does everywhere else. And so, you know what? I'm just going to something else. I'm impatient. I'm bored. I'm tired of waiting for God to talk to me because he's not talking to me the way that he did at camp. He's not talking to me the way that he did at the weekend. And so I just need something else. And we build a golden calf just like the Israelites. Number 2, the reason why they built the idol is because they lacked faith. They lacked faith. They lacked faith. They couldn't wait any longer, so they acted on their feelings instead of their faith. They lost faith in God because they felt like God had abandoned them because he wasn't doing for them what he had before, although the whole time he was creating a new way of life for them. Do you realize that at the top of that mountain, God was having a conversation with Moses to tell the people, this is how you live in freedom. This is a new way of life, a completely free way of life. You've been in slavery for 400 years, and now I'm telling you, I'm creating a new path for you. I'm creating a new life for you. I'm creating a new way for you. And these people said, you know what? I have no more faith in that God because he's not here now. I don't have faith in that God because Moses isn't here. Moses isn't telling me what God is saying yet. I'm sick and tired of waiting on Moses. I'm bored, I'm impatient, and now I have no more faith to give. I have no more faith to give. Let's be honest. Let's be honest tonight. How many times have we had a radical encounter with God that has changed us in a moment, but then we go home and it's not the same, and we don't hear his voice the same, and so we begin to stop having faith that God actually cares about us. That's what these people did. They said, God doesn't care about us. Look, he took Moses up on the mountain. He's kept him up there forever. God doesn't care about us. If he actually cared, he'd be here giving me what I want when I want right now. But he doesn't care. That's why I'm going to build an idol. I'm going to build a golden calf. The whole while, God is creating a new life for them to live. And friends, here's the truth I need you to understand tonight. Sometimes God is working on our path forward for us. And so we just need to wait until he says, hey, it's time to start moving. Sometimes God is working on our path. He's working on our way forward. He's working on our future for us. And all we have to do is wait until he says, okay, now it's time to move. All we have to do is have faith that says, I believe God cares about me. I believe he cares so much about me that he's got me here in this season, in this reason, for this moment. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm going to wait on the Lord. Why? Because the Bible says that those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength, and they will mount up on wings like eagles and soar. And so if I wait on God, if I wait on his voice, if I continue to listen, if I continue to seek, if I continue to wait on him, he will come through, he will speak, and he will show me my way forward. Sometimes we just need to wait on God to speak. Number 3, the third reason why they built the idol is because they were being selfish. They were being selfish. Okay. There's an old commercial that used to play. It might still play at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when y'all are supposed to be sleeping, but you're really awake watching TV. You know what I'm talking about? But you guys are probably watching like Netflix and stuff, right? So no commercials. I don't know how you live in your life. I had an old tube TV. It's fine. You guys don't even know what a tube TV is. Dang it. My first TV, I was so happy about it. I rode my bike to a trailer down the street who was throwing their stuff away. And my first TV, like I sat it on my lap and I like walked my bike home, and it had 3 knobs. And it was great. And I got Fox 17, ABC 5, and WHO 13. Have them memorized. Those were the 3 channels I could get on that TV, praise God. But there's this old commercial, right? What am I talking about? They're being selfish. There's this old commercial that would play at like 2 o'clock in the morning, but back in the day when commercials were prevalent, it would play all the time, right? And it was this: it's my money and I need it now. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, some of the adults in this room know what I'm talking about. It's my money and I need it now. Call J.G. Winchworth, 877 cash now. Come on. It's my money and I need it now. It's my life. And I'm going to do what I want to do with it right now. Because it's my life. And I want what I want. And nobody can tell me that I can't have it. You know why we're like that? You know why we're like that? You know why y'all are like that? Nah, it's because we're Americans first before we're children of God. Uh-oh. Pastor August ain't a patriot. That's not true. I got an American flag hanging in my house just like some of y'all do. But the fact of the matter is I'm a citizen of the kingdom of heaven before I'm a citizen of America. And when you're raised as an American first, it tells you that my comfort is more important than anything else. And so because I need to be comfortable, I should get what I want when I want. Because my comfort is important, because I'm an American. Bigger, faster, stronger. Give it all to me. I get what I want. If I want it, there's no reason why I shouldn't have it. You know why Burger King is so successful? Is because their slogan was, have it your way. You could roll into Burger King and say, I want a burger, no bun, and I want it to be raw, and they would still serve it to you. They would make you sign a waiver first, so that way you didn't sue the company, but because you could have it your way. It's my way. I want it my way. The Israelites Israelites were being selfish. I'm sick of waiting on God. I want it my way. I want to do what I want to do. It says that in the Bible, that verse 6, I think, is what we read. It said that they feasted, they got drunk, and they indulged in pagan revelry. You want to know what pagan revelry is? Sex with anybody and everybody that I want to have sex with. That's what they did. I get it, Holly. Can't say sex from the microphone. Just did. You know why? Because the Israelites had this mentality that it's my life and I can do what I want because I'm in charge and it's mine and it's all about me and I'm selfish because it's me first. It's me first. It's me first. You want to know why self-help books are so popular at Barnes & Noble? It's because they feed into your ego and your pride. And it's the literal devil telling you that you need to be so conscious about yourself before you are about other people. And we fed into that as a culture and a society. And even a little bit as church, as Christians, we fed into this self-help, self-conscious. I need to be so focused on myself and my spiritual self and my spiritual health. It's all about me. I'm so important that I need to make sure that I'm this, that I'm this, that I'm this, that we forget that Jesus says you should put yourself to death so that you can have eternal life. If you have the opportunity to be selfish, you're not following Jesus, you're following yourself. Because Jesus says it's not about you, it's about bringing me glory. And to bring me glory, you have to live the life that I lived. You have to lay down your life and live the life that I lived. And what's the life that he lived? It was a selfless life, caring for people, about other people more than we care about ourselves. It was taking up our cross every day of the week and saying, I will die to what I want if it means that one of my friends at school will hear about Jesus. It means saying, I will step out of my comfort zone. I will be embarrassed. I will do whatever it takes if it means that just one person knows that I follow Jesus. Because what's more important is that God gets the glory than that I get the glory. The Israelites were selfish. And so they built a golden calf. And if we were being honest, I bet 99% of this room would say, there are areas in my life where I am selfish, and so I've built a golden calf. And it's taken my focus, it's taken my attention, it's taken everything from God. It's taken my eyes off of God, it's taken my intention off of God, and I'm separated from him because I've built a golden calf in this area. And I'm willing to bet, most of us in this room would say that golden calf is our reputation at school. That place where we've been selfish is the way people see us at school. Because I don't want to be embarrassed. I want people to think that I'm cool, man. I want people to think that I'm funny. I want people to like me. I want people to treat me well. And so I'm not going to say what I think needs to be said. I'm not going to step out of my comfort zone. Now, that's become a golden calf for us. If we were being honest tonight. Brian, you can come. The fourth reason why they built the idol is because they lacked perspective. Everybody say perspective. Come on, everybody say perspective. They lacked perspective. They lacked perspective. What does that mean? That means that their focus wasn't on God. Their focus was on their current situation and their current circumstance. And they said, you've led us out of Egypt. And this is what's crazy when you read this story. Is at first, these people are crying out, set us free from slavery. Set us free from the bonds of slavery. Set us free from the chains of slavery. Set us free from our slave drivers. Set us free from slavery. Set us free from slavery. We are slaves. Set us free, set us free, set us free. And then they get to the wilderness where they're in a new position that they've never been before. It's uncomfortable for them. They're being asked to do things they've never been asked to do before. They're in a spot that they've never been before. And because of that, it's no longer slave drivers and slavery. It's, hold on, that was Egypt and that was good. And you know what the Egyptians had that the Israelites didn't? They had idols, pictures of gods, physical statues of gods that they bowed down and worshipped. And so because the Israelites lacked perspective, they built a golden calf. And I bet a bunch of us in this room would say, there are moments where my perspective is wrong. There are moments where I'm so focused on what I'm dealing with, what I'm going through, that I'm not seeing God. And I've said it once already, if these Israelites would have just taken a step back from the mountain and looked up, they would have seen the cloud, they would have seen the lightning, they would have seen the darkness, and they would have remembered, oh, God's here. We're at the mountain. God's there. We're here. He's with us. He's been with us this whole time. He walked us out of slavery. He provided for us in the wilderness. He provided a way out. He provided a way through the sea. He's here. He's with us. But they lacked perspective. And they couldn't see where God has been. They couldn't see where God was. And so they built a golden calf. They built an idol. They built an image that they could start worshiping. They built an image that they could start worshiping. And friends, if we're being honest tonight, I think that oftentimes we lack perspective. I think oftentimes we get bored. We get impatient with God. I think oftentimes we are selfish. I know for a fact that we're selfish. Why? That's our culture. Our culture is selfish. Our culture has created us to be selfish. We're selfish people. And oftentimes we are impatient. We're bored. We're selfish. We lack perspective. And we lack faith. And because of that, we end up building golden calves in our lives. And then we go to God and we get mad at God. God, you're not coming through the way that I thought. You're not coming through the way that I expected you to come through. God, you're not doing for me what I wanted you to do. God, you were supposed to be here. God, this is what you were supposed. God, come on. You're supposed to be the Prince of Peace. Why am I not in peace? Why is my life chaos? You're supposed to be the comforter. Why am I in pain? You're supposed to be the provider. Why is my bank account dry? Come on. We go to God like that. And the entire time God's sitting there saying, I've been here. Where have you been? I've been here. But you got bored. I've been working on your future, but you're impatient. I want to illustrate something. I need a volunteer. Somebody I can yell at. There's a lot of people that want to get yelled at right now. A lot of people that want to get yelled at. Tyler, come here. All right. You guys want to know why we get bored with God? So we believe that God is real. Okay? We believe that God speaks. We believe, right? We sing about it. That's why we're here. We believe in that God. If you don't believe in that God, I'm going to give you opportunities to believe in that God. But here's why we get bored. Here's why we get impatient. Here's why we lack perspective. And here's why we eventually lose our faith. Or give up our faith, I should say. That's a rabbit trail I'm not going to go on. It's because we do this. Okay. What's your name? My name's August. My middle name's Alan. My last name's Hoffman. My parents actually named me August so that people would call me Augie. You didn't know that, but yeah, my dad worked with a guy. His name was Augie, and they loved the name. And so they named me August so that people would call me Augie. How old are you? I'm 20. Actually, I'm 30 now. That's crazy. I turned 30 this year, and It feels bad for me. I've got a gray patch of hair right here, and it sucks. I wish I wasn't this old. I wish getting old didn't hurt my knees and my back like it does. Jared knows. Gabe knows. But I turned 30 this year. It's crazy. Where are you from? I grew up in Ankeny, Iowa. I was actually born in Des Moines. My granddad was a pastor down in West Des Moines, Valley Junction Church of God. He pastored there for 30 years. I grew up in church. It was pretty sweet. It was going great. So, yeah. Hey, man, it was good talking with you. Have a good day. That's our prayer life. You want to know why we get impatient with God? It's because we go to a God. Come here, Tyler. We go to a God and we want to experience Him, but the entire time we're talking about ourselves. God, why aren't you here? Because I've been trying to talk to you, but you won't shut your mouth. Be quiet and know. Stand still and know. Listen and know. Because now Tyler knows so much about me, I know nothing about him because I was talking the entire time. When Jesus went to commune with his Father, the Bible tells us that Jesus himself went to have alone time with his Father. I'm willing to bet that the majority of the time he was sitting there in silence, just listening, in silence, just being with his Father. Just in his presence. But we get so upset. Thank you, Tyler. Give it up for Tyler. We get so upset, and we get so angry, and we get impatient, and we begin to lack faith, and we lose perspective, and we get upset, and we get bored because every time we go to God, it's just another thing. Here we are, I got to pray again. And then we give him a laundry list of things that we expect from him, that we expect him to do, that we want him to do. And God is saying, I just need you to be here with me. Because what's healing is when you spend time in my presence, not when you expect me to give you presents. Ollie got that one. I'm going to say it again so you can write it down. It wasn't even in my notes. What's healing is when we spend time in God's presence, not when we expect him to give us presents. And so tonight, I'm going to wrap up.